to final two, and it's no surprise they've been quick all day to see the same faces at the front. Perhaps a surprise to see Chris Powell on pole position, but he set a fast lap in the first final. Jamie Jenkins joins him on the front row. McCullough and Ingram on the second row. Stuart Simons, Chris Bill on the third. Mark Loughcombe, excellent qualifying on 8th. No time to lose. Here we go. Chris Powell controls the pace round to the start-finish. Powell's on it now. McCullough's on his bumper. Can Jenkins get across and get in? He can't. Powell leads into turn 1 with McCullough coming through. And Chris Bell coming between Jenkins and Simons. Can he get third? He can't. McCullough's got the lead into turn 2. Simons is third. Trott's gone 4th. Bell's been reversed down the grid. He's hanging on ahead of Mark Loughcombe for 5th. Full throttle, 3 or 4 wide, down to turn 5. It's got to filter down to the hairpin. Here they come. McCullough leads from Powell. There's contact between Bell and Ingram. More contact further back. Bruce White and Palmby in the jar. Down at the hairpin, Jenkins inside of Bell for about 5th place. Bell holding off Loughcombe. Here comes Ant Teal. Teal round the outside trying to rescue a disappointing Ellough so far. And Oliver Allwood holds off Teal and lets in Mark Craddock, and Darren Teal's been spun out. Contact with Dan Butler. Craddock forcing his way past Oliver Allwood as Teal does the pair of them. Craddock not too pleased with Teal's tactics. Well, the race beginning to settle. It's McCullough from Powell, Simons, Trott, gap to Ingram, Jenkins, Bell, Loughcombe, Teal. That's your top 10. Mark Craddock on the bumper of Anthony Teal. Down to the hairpin. And out at start finish, there's penalty boards aplenty. Penalties for Daniel Butler for the assault on Anthony Teal. Butler went in the pit lane there. There's a penalty for Mark Craddock as well. Not sure if we've seen that one. Trott looking to the inside of Simons for 3rd place. Bryan only racing a limited sprint programme this year. Probably not that bothered about 3rd place. And of course Simons is an old teammate. Maybe happy to follow. Kieran McCullough's banged in another fast lap. He's managed to pull out to 0.4 of a second ahead of Chris Powell, who's going just about as quick as him. They're both pulling away from Stuart Simons. Simons has pulled out a couple of kart lengths on Brian Trott. He'll be looking over his shoulder for Phil Ingram and Jamie Jenkins. Craddock under pressure from Oliver Allwood. It's the fight for 10th. Powell has moved on to the bumper of Kieran McCullough. He was just a 10th or so faster on that lap, but that's enough to close into a couple of kart lengths. Can he push Kieran McCullough into a mistake? Trott has closed on to the bumper of Stuart Simons as well, in the tow. Simons stretches out just a kart length up to turn 4. Jenkins could be under pressure from Chris Bell. Further back, Najjar and Andy Cowell continue to fight over 12th place. A third of the race over. Lap 6 now. McCullough and Powell look to be fighting out for victory. They're 2 seconds clear of the battle for 3rd. Stuart Simons and Brian Trott in picture. There's another second or so back to Phil Ingram. Jamie Jenkins could be beginning to close on him. Battle for 12th. Palm V and a jar and Andy Cowell here into turn 4. Oh, and Andy Cowell has just pushed him wide. That looks like a penalty in the current climate. Down to the hairpin. Cowell's wise enough to wave him back through. Oh, Charlie Bruce White is going to try and take advantage of his good nature, if he had one. Tebbit round the outside of Charlie Bruce White, and here comes Clackett up the inside. Or rather than going for 12th, Charlie Bruce White is down to 17th. Trying to make a run on Lee Clackett down to turn 1. He's got the run. Bruce White is back through to 16th. Najjar once again on the bumper of Andy Cowell. Well, we're fast approaching half distance, and there's a proverbial cigarette paper between Kieran McCullough and Chris Powell as they pull further clear. They're 3 seconds ahead now of the battle for third. Ingram's making no impression at the moment on third, just able to hold them, not close in. So Chris Bell made a mistake on the exit of turn 4. Will Loughcombe strike at the hairpin? Not this time. McCullough and Powell remain the fastest 2 carts on the circuit. I've pulled out another 10th or so on Stu Simons and Brian Trott. Ingram managed to go a couple of tenths faster on that lap and has closed in to Brian Trott just a little bit. McCullough, conscious of Powell on his bumper, had to go defensive into turn 4 there. Slight mistake from Kieran there, went a long way in the S's. Is this Chris Powell's chance? McCullough sharp to defend into the hairpin. That will compromise his exit, but he's got the inside for the last corner. Now can Powell get a run on him and down the main straight? McCullough went in deep into the final corner. He set himself up. Powell down to turn 1. Is he close enough? He doesn't have the ponies, but he's on the bumper. Trott has fallen away from Simons and may fall into the clutches of Ingram, and Jenkins beginning to close. Bell holding off Anthony Teal for all he's worth. Loughcombe having a quiet race in 6th, nothing quite here. Teal's up to 7th. Craddock trying to go around the outside of Chris Bell. We cut away to the lead. McCullough's under pressure from Chris Powell. He's been given a stern examination. He's going narrow down to turn 1 to hold him off. It looks like just a question of time before Chris Powell throws one up the inside. McCullough forced to defend into turn 4. Well, he's made a better exit. He's pulled out a cart length by the hairpin. And Brian Trott in 4th place is coming under pressure from Phil Ingram. He's begun to slide back towards Ingram and Jenkins. Ingram almost there now. Of course, once again, Trott and Ingram are endurance teammates from the past. but I don't think Ingram will have any compunction about passing Brian Trott at the first opportunity. Three laps from the finish of the second final of Premier Class at Ellough Park. Kieran McCullough and Chris Powell have a 3 seconds lead over the third place battle. Stuart Simons now pulling nearly a second clear of Brian Trott. Ingram moving on to his bumper. We're watching the battle for 9th place. Chris Bell, Mark Loucombe, Oliver Allwood, Andy Cowell in close attendance. Allwood conscious of Andy Cowell on his bumper. Andy looking for 11th if he can get it. He made a mistake there and he's fallen back in the S's. 2 laps to go. Has Chris Powell got anything left for Kieran McCullough? He was a fraction of a second faster on that lap, just 0.06 of a second quicker. Kieran's managed to pull out a couple of kart lengths. Trott is managing to hold off Phil Ingram, who just can't close that last yard or so. A lap and a half for Kieran McCullough between him and a first win in Premier Class this season. Needs to keep a neat, perfect line and be on the limit to hold off Chris Powell. He's also searching for his first win of the season. Final lap boards out, less than 50 seconds for Kieran McCullough and a chance to go to 3rd in the championship from 5th. And Chris Powell, if he stays where he is, will leap up behind him to 4th in the championship. They're moving forward at the expense of Anthony Teal and Mark Craddock. Well, Chris has got as close as he's been for a while now, but Kieran pulls out a kart length out to turn 4. Means he'll be into this hairpin ahead of Powell. Not close enough. He went narrow. And Chris Powell still not close enough to take advantage of that into the last hairpin. Mark Craddock pulls out from behind Chris Bell and takes 11th place. Out of the final corner, Kieran McCullough takes a first win of the season and 3rd in the championship.